Hey everyone, my name is Abhishek and today we are going to create this. So this 3D history slideshow animation is done entirely using After Effects and it's very easy to create. You can use it for any kind of documentaries or whatever type of videos you want. So let's see how to make this. Alright, so right now I'm in After Effects and I've already imported a couple of these images. So these are just some images that I downloaded from Unsplash, but it's completely up to you. You can use whatever type of images you want. Perfect. So once you're done with this, let's start by creating a new composition. Let's call this one main. Width and height will be 1920 by 1080, frame rate 30 fps, and duration you can pick whatever you want. Just click on OK. Now we have our composition. Now I'm going to create another composition for our image. Let's call this one image 1. Rest of the things will remain same. Just click on OK. Now inside the image 1, I'm going to drag one of these images. Let's drag this one. It's quite big, so I'm going to press S to scale this down, and let's just scale it to something like that. Perfect. So once you're done with this, let's go back to the main composition and we can drag our image 1 over here. Now we will be working in 3D space. So for that, I'm going to make this layer 3D, and also I'm going to add a camera. Right click, let's add a camera. And I'm using this 35mm camera, so just click on OK. Now we can control it better by simply adding a null object, and after that make sure that the null is also 3D. Now we can parent this camera to the null object so that we can control it using this. Perfect. So once you're done with this, we are ready to place everything out in 3D space. So for that, I'm going to select this image and let's just simply switch this to 2 view. And over here you can see we have this view, and we can switch this to active camera. And onto this view, we can just set this to left or top, whatever you want. From here, you can just simply change it. I'm going to set this to left. And after that, we can probably select this, and you can see that we have this over here. Now I'm going to place this somewhere around here in the Z space, something like that. Now I want some reflections of this on the ground as well. So for that, we can select this image and let's press Ctrl D to duplicate this. Now I'm going to select one of these layers and let's quickly rename this to reflection. And now I'm going to select this and let's press R. Or there is one more thing that you can do. We can select the pan anchor tool by simply clicking over here. And after that, we can just simply move this, and you can hold down the Control key to move this to the bottom like that. Now you can select this layer, press R, and we can just simply rotate it by simply placing it something like 90 degree. Perfect. So here you can see we have these two planes lying around, something like that. Now we can select this, and I'm going to press S, and let's just uncheck this, and I'm going to just make this little bit longer so that we have a little bit of area over here for some nice reflections. Now we can switch this back to one view. Perfect. So here we have something like that. Now we can make this into a reflective surface. So for that, we can create a solid. So right click, new, let's add a solid, and you can just leave it to whatever you want. I'm going to quickly call this blur map. Just click on OK. Now I'm going to place this at the very bottom. We don't have to see it. And I'm going to select this reflection, and on this one I'm going to search for compound blur, and let's drag it over here. Now we are going to make use of this blur map. So first let me just quickly open this up and let's enable it. And on top of this, I'm going to apply fractal noise. Let's drag it over here. Now we can play around with the contrast. Let's bump this out, something like that. Now we can hide this, and we can probably place it at the very bottom. Now go to reflections, and under the blur layer, we can select the blur map. Make sure that this is set to effects and mask. Now if I zoom in, you can see that we are able to see some really nice blur, and we can play around with the amount of blur by simply moving it like that. And you can see that it is looking like our images on a surface or something. Perfect. So we are pretty much done with this. Now our next step is to create a 3D environment or some sort of floor or the ceiling and the background. And for that, we can make use of the solid layer. So right click, let's add a solid layer, and let's just make this BG for background. Let's click on OK. And on this one, we are going to apply fractal noise as well. And let's just crank this up. So let's increase the contrast quite a bit, something like that. Now I'm going to make this 3D as well. Now we basically want this background to be like right next to the reflection, which is like at the floor. So for that we can select this layer, make sure that it is 3D. Now you can hold on the shift key, and if I click and drag this parent option and just leave it to the reflection, you can see that the surface will automatically align itself to this region where we have this. Now we can probably set this to none because we don't want it to be parented. Now we can select this and let's just press S, and we can just bump it up however we want. Now I'm going to switch this to the 2 view as well, and from here you can play around with its position. For example, we can just move it like little bit ahead like that, and we can select this, press P. Now over here you can play around with these values, and let's just place it something like that. Perfect. Now we want this to be at the top as well for the ceiling, so we can select this layer, press Ctrl D. Now let's select this, press P, and all we have to do is just simply move it to the top by simply moving it like that, and you can just view it over here to like do it precisely. And let's just place it somewhere around here. Perfect. So here we have like these two things. Now we can go back to the one view. Perfect. Now in order to make our bottom layer visible, which is this reflection, I'm going to just place it like at the bottom of all of these. Now we have to play around with the color to match it out. So for that we can select this layer and let's search for tint. We basically want this to be like very less visible, so let's just pick a very dark color, something like that. Now we can copy this and just paste it onto this one as well. Perfect. Now you can see that we are able to see this ground and this reflection, but you can see that we are able to see some hard edges as well. So we can get rid of it very easily by simply selecting this, and after that you can make sure none of the other layer is selected. Then just double click on this rectangular tool or the shape tool and it will create a mask. Now just zoom in and double click on this mask, and you can see that it will select everything, and we can go inside the mask. We have this option called mask expansion, so I'm going to just like move it inside, and after that we can enable the mask feather, and you can play around with it however you want. So now you can see that we are not able to see any harsh edges, and we already have our very nice background. So we are pretty much done with this, and our next step is to like have a background as well. So before we continue, if you enjoy my work and you want to support me, then you can check out my Patreon page. Over there you will get access to the tutorial project files and exclusive templates that are available only on Patreon. So make sure to check it out. Link for that is in the description. Now let's continue. So for that I'm going to select one of these layers. Let's press Ctrl D. Let's select this, press R, and I'm going to set the orientation to 0. Let's press S and let's set this to 100 by 100, everything like that. And I'm going to just place it like in the middle. Select this, let's place it in the middle, and I'm going to just select this and let's just put it all the way back. So let's press P, and I'm going to just put it like all the way back using the Z space. Now we can select this, press S to scale this up. Perfect. So here you can see we have our 3D environment. Now you can press C to move around the scene, and you will be able to see everything like we have this 3D sort of scene. Perfect. Now let's press Ctrl Z to get back to the original view. Now we are ready to like blend this even more nicely. So first I'm going to select the ellipse tool. Now I'm going to select this space, which is this floor, and after that just simply go over here and just simply double click on this. Make sure that you have selected the ellipse tool, and now if I double click on it, you can see that it will create a mask which is like quite big. So I'm going to select this and let's just press S, and I'm going to like make it a little bit smaller so that we can see it. Perfect. Now we can double click and select this mask, and we can like make this little bit smaller. So you can hold down the shift key and control key to like make this smaller, something like that. Or you can make use of the mask expansion as well, like this. Let's select this and let's press M for mask properties, and over here we have this mask expansion. So if I set this to like this negative value, we have something like that. Now I'm going to, let's quickly disable this so that we can see the background. Now let's enable the feather a little bit like that. So here you can see we are able to see some really nice background, and just play around with the mask feather however you want and how far you want this to be. So I think, yeah, this looks good, and we can probably like push it back like that. So yeah, I think this looks good. Something like that. So once you're done with this, we are going to do the same thing on this top as well. So make sure that the layer is selected and double click on this to create a mask. Again, it's quite big, so I'm going to like make this smaller, and after that we can play around with the mask expansion. Let's press M, and I'm going to like decrease this up, and let's feather this out so that we have this very nice fall off. And again, to fix this, we can probably like move it something like that. So there you go. Now we have this background as well. Now at the end, we can enable our backdrop, and let's select this, and on this one let's add a mask as well. Now double click on this, and this one we can just simply make this little bit smaller, and let's press F, and we can just feather it out like that. So here you can see we have our 3D space and we have everything set up. So now our next step is to like move our camera, and let's play around with some few things. So first I'm going to select this. Let's press P for position. Let's add a keyframe, and let's go to somewhere around 3 seconds, and let's just pick a point. So somewhere around here it looks good. Perfect. Now in the beginning I'm going to like move out something like that. Now we can select the keyframes and press F9 to ease them. Let's go to the graph, and I'm going to like change it to look something like this so that it's coming in very quickly. So now if I press play, you can see we have our scene and we have our slideshow. Perfect. Now we are ready to add some more details to this. So let me just quickly select everything, and at some point here we can have our text as well. So for that, let's select the text tool and just click, and you can type whatever you want. I'm going to type freedom march, but it's completely up to you. You can just type whatever you want. Let's select this text, and I'm going to make this 3D as well, and you'll notice that it will place it somewhere around here. Now we can play around with its position, and let's go to somewhere around 3 seconds where we have like this thing, and over here we can place our text. So let's select this, and I'm going to just move it like back something around here, and we can press S. Let me just quickly scale this down like this. So here you can see we have the text as well. Now it is not on the ground, so we can just switch this to the to view, and we have our text. Now let's just place it on the ground something like that. Now let's switch back to the one view, and we can play around with its position. Let's place it somewhere around here, and we can increase its size as well. There you go. And we can probably select this, and I'm going to increase the reflection a little bit like that. Now we can have some animation on the text as well. So for that we can apply a preset. So if I just simply search for blur, and if I scroll down, you can see we have some text presets like over here, and on this one we can just select this blur by word, and let's just simply drop this. Now if I select this, press CU, you can see we have these keyframes. Now if I press play, you can see that our text will come out like this. Now you can play around with the timing of it. You can like make it like really smooth or slower, or you can just leave it to wherever it is right now. Perfect. So here we have our text, and we can have a little bit of gradient over here as well. So let's search for gradient ramp, and let's drag it onto this text. First I'm going to switch this to radial, and let's place one over here and one at this point. I'm going to swap the colors, and let's just make it like that. So we have this very nice gradient. Perfect. So this will make our text like blend in more. So once you're done with this, we can probably select this, press Ctrl D. Now if you want to have like second text, you can just simply type whatever you want. And I'm going to just place it like little bit up, and I'm going to like delete this, and let's search for fill. I'm going to add a red colors so to like make this pop out, something like that. Now there is one more thing that we can do. I'm going to select this and let's search for drop shadow. Let's place this onto this, and I'm going to just change its angle to something like this. We can enable the distance like that, and let's just blur this out, and we can just like place it at the bottom, so you can see that it will add some nice shadow at the background like this. Now let's just copy this, and I'm going to paste it onto this as well, but on this one we can probably play around with the distance like that. Perfect. So here we have our thing, and once we are like somewhere around here, we can like continue this, and let's go to somewhere around 5 seconds, and I'm going to like just zoom in to like a lot, somewhere around here like this. Now we can like select these keyframes, and let's go inside the curves, and I'm going to like change this curve to look something like that. Now I'm going to select these keyframes, right click, go to keyframe velocity, make sure that this is checked, just click on OK. Now we can select these keyframes, and I'm going to just lift it like little bit up so that it will have one continuous motion and our camera won't stop. So you can see that it is coming, and as we reach over here, you can see that it will slow down, but it won't stop, and after that it will gradually increase its speed, and it will go again like that. Perfect. So this is the motion that I want. And now we are pretty much done with the basic part of the animation, and our next step is to like have some highlights or details to this. So for that, we can first, I'm going to select this image, and let's press Ctrl D. Now I'm going to press P for position, and let's just place one copy of it like really close to our screen like this, and we can press T for opacity, and I'm going to like lower it down, and let's just move it to the side, and I'm going to like lower it down even more like that. So now if I press play, you can see we have this slide, but I think this should come like a little bit in the front. So there you go. Now we have this slide, and we have these elements as well. Now in the same way, we can have one copy at the back as well. So let's select this, press Ctrl D, and let's select this one, press P, and I'm going to move one copy at the back, and let's move that one to the side, so somewhere around here, and let's press T, and I'm going to like lower down its opacity as well, so that we have this very subtle thing, but nothing too much prominent, something like that. Let's just make this big, and let's make this to this side. There you go. Now here you can see we have this slide, and it is coming out, and we have our text over here as well, and we have this at the back. Perfect. Now once you're done with this, we are ready to have some fade in and fade out at the starting and at the end. So for that, we can right click, let's add an adjustment layer, and on this one I'm going to search for gradient wipe, and let's drag it over here. Now I'm going to add a keyframe for the transition completion, and let's select this and press U. Now I'm going to move this keyframe like a little bit ahead, and in the beginning I'm going to like set this to like that, and let's increase the transition softness as well, so you can see that it will come out of the dark like this. Now we can do the same thing but in reverse order at the end. So first I'm going to select this layer, and let's just quickly trim this out. Now I'm going to select this, press Ctrl D to duplicate this layer. Now let's press U, and let's pick a point, so somewhere around here we can like move our layer, and I'm going to select the first keyframe, and let's move it to this side, and let's select the second one, and let's just place it over here. So you can see that our animation will like go back to 100%. Now you can play it out. Nice. So once we're done with this, we are ready to have some little bit of color correction. So for that, you can Probably let's add an adjustment layer, and on top of this we can have curves or something like that. Now let's drag it over here. Now you can play around with the brightness, and let's add a little bit of contrast. You can play around with the colors as well if you want to like make this little bit like bluish cinematic or sort of thing, like give it a very nice stylized look. But again, this is something up to you. So you can see that it like adds a little bit of layer or color grading sort of thing like this. But again, this is completely up to you, however you want to play with it. So here we are done with our first slide, and in the same way you can create the other slides as well, or you can like simply use this and like recreate everything. So I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. So let's pick a point. So somewhere around here you can see it's completely dark. So I'm going to like just trim this out, or we can select everything and right click, let's pre-compose, and let's call this one slide 1. Make sure it's set to all attribute and just click on OK. Now we can go inside this slide 1 and we can right click and let's trim cop to work area, so that we only have this region where we can work around. Perfect. So once you're done with this, we are ready to have like multiple slides of it. So it's actually quite easy. All we have to do is just simply select this slide and press Ctrl D to duplicate this. Now I can open up this slide 2, and over here we can see we have this image 1. So we have to replace this as well. So let's select this image 1 and press Ctrl D to duplicate this. Now I can open up this image 2 composition, and from here we can like pick whatever you want. Let's pick this image and let's just place it somewhere around here. So yeah, I think this looks good. We can probably make it like a little bit down. Perfect. So here we have the image 2. Now we can go back to the slide 2. Now we have to replace all of these with the image 2 as well. So for that you can select all of these layers, and you can hold on the Alt key or Option key on Mac. Then just simply click on this image 2. Make sure to hold it down and just simply click and drag and drop it over here. So you can see that it will replace all of these images, image 1 with image 2. Now you can play around with whatever you want. You can just move few things here and there. And let me just quickly change this to like 1942, and you can just change the text World War 2 or 1, whatever you want to call it. And this is completely up to you. You can play around with the position of this text as well. Just make sure to change the gradient over here. So we have this, and I'm going to just place it over here like that. And in the same way we can move this text to this side as well. There you go. Now we can just add this. So we have this slide 1, and I'm going to like drag this slide 2 over here as well. Now let's pick a point. So somewhere around here you can see that it starts getting its speed. So we can have like our next slide somewhere around here, just like that. So if I press play, you can see we have this first slideshow, and at the end where we have this transition, we have the next slide coming in. So in this way you can like just keep on duplicating these slides and just make sure to replace the images with the new comp, and you can like go inside the composition and do all kind of changes. You can like move few things here and there, and you can just change whatever you want, and you can have a bunch of different images in the 3D space as well, and you can just keep on doing this and you'll have your complete slideshow. So this is how you can create these kind of slideshows, and the project files for this tutorial is available on Patreon. So if you're supporting me over there, then you can download it from there, and if you're not, then you might consider it, because you will get access to the tutorial project files and exclusive templates that are available only on Patreon. So with that being said, my name is Abhishek, and I'll see you in the next one.